God bless everybody today. It's March 3rd of 2021. This is going to be a short video on how I believe the 3 super moons that are coming up in the next few months are going to affect us as we walk into Daniel 8, or the start of Daniel 8, or those 2300 days and mornings that I believe will start on June 30th based on the charts that I've been showing you. So as we look forward into 2021, we realize that we have 3 super moons coming up in the next few months. One on April 27th of 2021, a super moon full solar eclipse blood moon on May 26th of 2021, and then an additional super moon on June 24th of 2021. And I've stated for a while that I believe on my chart, if we go to that chart, that on June 30th of 2021 we would start those 2300 days of the mornings and nights of Daniel 8. And in those 2300 days we see a number of things happening in Daniel 8. Okay, it's telling us about the continual burnt offerings taken away. And like I say, let's go back for just a second. June 30th, 2021 is when I say Daniel 8 starts. Okay, so if we take the continual burnt offerings away, which happen on March 21st of 2024 based on this chart, to the time of abomination, which is July 19th of 2027, to the cleansing of the sanctuary, because the temple is being trampled underfoot for 1260 days. You have abomination. The cleansing of the sanctuary happens after the 7th bowl is dropped down and the world is basically renewed as if Adam and Eve were here again. And so if you take that Feast of Tabernacles, or the fall feasts, which are the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Kippur, and Feast of Tabernacles, if you take that outer limit date, October 17th of 2027, because we're talking about the parable of the fig tree, everything has to happen before the 80th year of the nation of Israel is completed, which is May 14th of 2028. So if the sanctuary is cleansed on Feast of Tabernacles, you work that 2300 days back, that's June 30th. And so I think the 3 supermoons are alluding that we're walking into this potential timing of Daniel 8. So we're going to look at these dates of the 3 supermoons and how they're affecting that chart that I was talking about. And when I'm looking at my astronomy, I really like, and I'm sure there's a lot of sites, but this site seems extremely good and I like it, so I've been using it quite a bit, is the csky.org. Okay, so you can go into all the astrological events that are occurring for a specific calendar date. And so if we look at 2021, if you click on 2021, you realize as you come down through here, you start to see some interesting events occurring. And if you get to April 27th, you realize that we see that first supermoon. Okay. And so as we transition into this Daniel 8 effect, which I believe starts on June 30th, are these supermoons alluding to a potential event that's starting to occur? I'm not saying anything's going to happen on these very specific supermoons or blood moon dates, but I do believe they usher in certain events that are going to transpire in the future. And so if you look at these 3 blood moons, or 3 supermoons with an additional blood moon in the middle of them, I think it's extremely important to look at these things. So the first one is on April 27th, and that is a supermoon full moon. Okay, and then if you move down through this chart, you're going to realize a couple things are really starting to stick out. You have another supermoon full moon on May 26th, which is a full blood moon, which is a total lunar eclipse, and it's a supermoon at the same time. And this is right smack in the middle of these three supermoons. Okay, and then as you get into June, we start to walk into a annular solar eclipse on June 10th, with the June solstice on June 21st. So you're ushering in a season. Okay, and on June 24th, you have that last full moon supermoon. And if you go back to that chart and we look at that June 30th date that's coming up, and this is only a few months away, people, and that's what I keep trying to tell you. We are going to see a major ramping up of a war between Iran. And if you've been watching the news at all, Turkey's main contributor to the news in the Middle East right now. Iran's a main contributor. All these different areas are basically functionally affecting Syria, and we're watching the Kurds just getting hammered out there. And like I've talked about this for a while, if you look at Daniel 8, 1 through 10, and I'm not going to go through this, I just did a number of videos on this, it clearly tells us that the Kurds will align with Iran or Persia, and that when this occurs, and they get down around Shush, Iran, and they're pulled down in that area, we're going to see Turkey run over and crush them. And I've been talking about that by this fall, or by the end of this year, at the latest in the spring of 2022, because if you look at this parable timeline, you realize that we're running out of time here, or I'm wrong. And I don't know until this stuff happens. I do know a couple things. If June 30th is starting to come into effect here, and that's going to accelerate this timeline, we need to get our oil in our lamp, and that's meaning getting your stuff prepared. Okay, food, material stuff, spiritually, mentally, physically, on all levels. Get yourself right with God, because this is starting to get down to the wire here, and things are starting to break down quickly. And we're having all these troubles in the United States. We've had all kinds of weather catastrophes. It's the markets are struggling. Something we have to watch is potential hyperinflation. You got to watch these 10-year bond rates. If they get up around 2%, that's a hyperinflation problem. And so we're going to see inflation start kicking to a number of commodities. Things are already being affected by food costs and transportation costs. For fuel and things like that are going up dramatically here lately. So a lot of things are going to start to affect us here in the near future. But I think one of the main things that's going to affect us is we're going to start into this 2,300 days of this Daniel 8 effect of these 2,300 evenings and mornings. And once that restoration of that temple occurs, things are starting to get a little interesting out here, people. Just be careful. Get everybody ready. When you start to see things happen, just talk to people. Let them know what's coming. You need to warn people. Maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe June 30th isn't the start of this. But I think if you're starting to watch the Kurds, and you're watching Turkey, and you're watching Iran, and you're watching all the things that are going on out here, you realize that probably this is starting to take effect. and that these 3 supermoons could usher in a potential Daniel 8, what I call a Daniel 8 effect, which is the goat ram war. And that basically is that the Kurds have to align with Iran, as it states in Daniel 8, 1 through 10. And that once that occurs, and they get down around Shush, Iran, that Turkey's going to go over and crush both these nations, and that will absorb them into this Ottoman Emperor empire that's coming up through Turkey or Erdogan, and that will then start this reviving of this caliphate against the Jews and the Christians in the next 6.5 years. God bless everybody. Find the narrow open door. Things are starting to ramp up. Things are going to get really dicey in 2021. The world scene is going to get extremely intense. So God bless everybody. Find the narrow open door, and that's the Son, and that's Jesus. And He is the only way to heaven. You have to find the Son to get to the Creator. God bless.